Okay. So, I just want to, point some things out. There clearly are a bunch of people out there that need some clarification on things. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Farming with Chef Matt, and I thank you. Understand this. Comments are a two-way street. Some people just outright react to them. Some respond to them. Those are your two types of people who reply to those comments. Your reactors and your responders. Do not get the two confused. Okay, now, there are quite a few people who just do not get it. My mother did not do my chores when I was on the farm. My mother did my sister's chores. Let me make that clear. It was my sister's chores that my mother did on a Saturday and a Sunday morning, because she knew if she didn't, it was likely that my sister would be tied to a tree and left there for the rest of the day. And my mother did not want to deal with my sisters complaining about that. Now, I'm not saying that my sister's a bad person in any way, shape, or form. She just lacked personal responsibility. Hence the reason why she got rid of her last horse several years ago. Now, this is the part where it gets very ironic. She gave up her horses to a person who also does not have the ability to keep costs down, because they'd much rather haul hay in mass quantities rather than in mass quality. There's a difference between quantity and quality. You can't get quality and still have a high amount of quantity. Now, understand this. Understand this. Hold it. Pump the brakes. I can feel your fingers warming up to rip me a new a-hole for something you know nothing about. Now, it wouldn't be Farming with Chef Matt without talking about engines and stuff. This is also directly related. I'm not at all saying that she was a terrible person. She was just very inexperienced with operating equipment, including a highway vehicle. My sister, and sis, if you don't want this story told, too bad. I've told it too many times. It's time it goes on the internet. So, about 2,500 miles comes around from her last oil change. Hey sis, you might want to prepare for an oil change. No, it'll be fine. I can go longer. I add enough oil to it. Hold it right there, sis. Let me explain this to you in a very calm, professional manner. Burning oil is not burning carbon building up in the bottom of your engine. Oh, no, I had enough oil, blah, 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 blah. Well, let me clarify here for those of you who do not understand engines. A filter is only as good as its ability to capture material before it starts bypassing. Look, people, it's not rocket science. When your oil's black, it's done. It needs changed. Just do it and don't complain about it, because engines are expensive. And in comparison to engines, preemptive maintenance is a lifesaver to your engine and to your life. I can honestly say I've always been a very honest mechanic. So let's fast forward to now 5,500 miles since her last oil change. sis, I recommend you get your car in my shop in a very timely manner. Otherwise, I can't warranty my work. Fast forward to 8,500 miles. Sis, your car is screwed. You need an oil change. And mind you, it was a 97 Saturn Coupe 2. Well, it may have been a 95. We had a 95 and a 97 car on the farm. I can't remember whether it was mom's car that was the 95 or sister's car. That's beside the point. Those engines burned very dirty back in the 90s and before. Especially on a Saturn. Amplify that even more so to somebody who has not the equivalent of a lead foot, but somebody who has the equivalent of a mercury foot. Now, let's make it even more interesting here. Not only is that the case, but you have at 10,000 miles when the oil change needs to occur no later than 3,000. Rolls in to the shop on the farm. Little brother, please change my oil. Followed by me. 5 quarts of oil is not going to be enough. I have to do a system flush to get all that nastiness out of your engine. And I feel that she honestly learned her lesson because she stood there, right there with me, and realized that I was accurate in the fact that 5 quarts was not going to be enough because I needed to flush the system. And that also included running the engine and going for yet another oil filter, another oil change right there in the shop. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, she looked down in that oil as I swirled my magnet down in there, pulled it up, and there were some chunks to say the least. Nothing extremely devastating to an engine, but still, as an honest mechanic, I cringed on behalf of her engine. From that point forth, and sis, if you'd like to post the rest of the story, I know your husband is a YouTube content creator. He's got a video up. Anyways, carrying on here. And yes, I'm politely opting not to say her name in the video, or in the title of the video, or in the description. However, she will be receiving a text message that I uploaded a video about her. Moving forward, she learned a very valuable lesson from that day forth. Her engine never ran. Now, from that experience onward, it was the destruction of her car. It went from being an oil burner to would not. It definitely would have surprised me if what did it in was not a runaway engine from it being that bad. Food for thought. Continuing on, though, she went from a quart every 500 to a quart every 200 in just a 10,000 mile range. That is how fast she went from burning a quart every 500 miles to burning a quart every 200 miles. And understand this. I warned her that would happen. After that oil change, she had explained to me a few times how I was accurate. I knew my stuff. And she regretted not doing preemptive maintenance at the level I like to do it on vehicles. Remember this, people? Oil is cheap. Engines are expensive. Fluids in general are cheap. Metal is not. Neither is rubber. And when it comes to hoses and stuff, you don't want to buy cheap rubber. You want to buy good quality rubber. I'm just going to point you in a general direction. Chinese-made components, no go. You want something that is either made in Canada, made in Russia, or made in Germany. If you live anywhere that you see temperatures where ice is on the road occasionally and not from someone dumping a drink at their window. I'm talking ice everywhere. Or snow everywhere, which is still ice. It's just much more pretty to look at. Not any more fun to drive in. Anyone can keep a car going down the road. It takes a really skilled driver to keep that car on the road when it's really icy out and the ice is melting. You can say all you want. Oh, it's not going to be that hard. Go ahead, be in denial. It will be hard. It's a difficult skill to learn. Your movements on the wheel need to be much more smooth and gradual, and the less traction you have. Furthermore, whilst I do not drive currently, when I was driving and also as an honest mechanic, a lot of the cars I test drove and that my family test drove to make sure my repairs were done correctly, in the wintertime, the ones that did the best were the ones that were snow tires. We're talking winter weather tires. Not all season. I'm not saying that all seasons won't get the job done. I'm just saying that if you are serious about protecting your investment, and understand this, it is literally impossible to run 2 sets of tires at the same time. You absolutely need warm weather tires and winter weather tires. And if you really would like to take it to another level, make sure that not only are they siped, also make sure that your winter weather tires are studded. And furthermore, don't go with these cheap chintzy studs that come to a point that at a really mild angle. You want something that comes at a fairly aggressive angle. Those can be sharpened. Also, you don't want to be hip. You don't want one of those rolling over your foot. Also, if you're wondering, this right here, $400 for a pair of these. You'll thank me for the advice later. Cork boots are your friend. And when you look at cork boots, and these boots really do astounding on the ice. Look at that. Very aggressive point. I'm going to show you my pair of boots that I've been running this winter. They already have a winter season on them, and I have not rinsed them off, obviously, because there is salt and de-icer on the bottom of these. They're on their second winter season. The only time they ever saw logging was 2 winters ago. And that was the last time they saw. That's how long it's been since they saw the logging. It wasn't full-scale logging, like taking logs from a mill. It was getting firewood. And those are the same spikes on those boots as were on them when I was doing that kind of work 2 winters ago. So technically they have 3. They're on their 3rd season. They have 2 full seasons and a partial season on them. You get your cheap chintzy studs, you're never going to see more than 1 season. And understand this. When you're running studded tires, keep it under 60. The inertial force, which is a fancy way of saying is the proper equation for understanding this. Studs are only rated to go up to 60 miles an hour, not above, up to. So, furthermore, here's what we're going to do with this explanation. So here's your axle. Okay, here's your axle down here, my finger right here. Here's your tire. It's the inertial force coming around of the tire spinning that keeps you upright on a bicycle. That same inertial force is what your studs are going under as well. And your tire is trying to keep those studs in underneath that huge amount of inertial force. When you exceed 60, you're likely to see catastrophic failure. Not of the tire itself, but of your studs. Because their shanks that go down into your tire are much smaller than you would ever expect. But what keeps them from braking at low speed is the fact that they've got a plate on the top, and there's a plate that goes on the underside that is curved to match the radius of the tire. So because you have those 2 plates that are curved to match the radius of the tire, it allows the tire to adapt. And no, the plates are not that big. It's just an excessively large demonstration with my hands about how the plates are radiused to the tire. Your cheap studs are just they're flat on both sides. Your good quality studs are radiused to the tire. That's a critical detail. Now, again, your studs that come up, okay, you see something, and from the surface, you see the equivalent of this. But down under what's holding that down to the tire is where my thumb is. That's it. Not the whole stud. It doesn't go all the way. It does go all the way through the tire. However, when you're running studded tires, you're very likely, if you overspeed what your studs are rated for, it's not your tires that struggle the most. It's your studs. And when the studs fail at high speed, the only thing I can compare them to and the damage they will do to your vehicle is the equivalent of a machine gun. That is the equivalent of what it is. It's the equivalent of a machine gun. It just goes, and typically it'll happen rapid succession or chain reaction, or it'll go kablooey, and that's expensive. So keep your speed down anyway. It's the winter time. You should keep your speed down. You need to keep your speed down anyway, because when you're on snow, it's a lot of force going there too. Understand that. Are studs a good idea or are they a bad idea? Well, if you plan on driving fast, avoid studs, just stick with straight, siped snow tires. The winter weather compound grips the road really well. And even on tractors, I strongly recommend it. Whether they're highway tractors or off-road. Yes, tires are expensive. So is downtime. You'd be amazed at how many great mechanics out there can in under 5 minutes switch out your tires and then in under a half hour have them all wheel spun balanced. Which there's two types of spin balancing. There's hub mounted spin balancing, which is the ultimate that you can get. Then there's what's called unmounted. They're on the rims, but it's called an unmounted balance, where it's not mounted on the vehicle, it's on a machine away from the vehicle, and it's spun and is balanced. Now, if you're constantly switching out your tires, then the unmounted balance is going to be a really good idea. Also, when you warp your rotors, if they're vented rotors and you have warped them, do not waste your time trying to get them milled down and whatnot. Have a mechanic mill them down, balance them out. That's going to be way more expensive because of shop rates than it's going to be just to get a brand new pair of rotors, as opposed to fixing the two rotors that you damaged. Now, even more so, if you're hard on your brakes, dimpled slotted rotors are your friend. They do work. They cut down your heat and glassing over of your brakes really well with the disc brake systems. Now, yes, the same can be done with drum brakes. However, it's more challenging. However, there are other ways of engineering cooling into it that are far more cost effective and far easier. I can honestly say that you can have an onboard air system that pumps air through to cool your brakes as you apply the brakes. That's about it for just your everyday sedan. That's going to be an expensive upgrade. And if you only pay $1,000 for your car, that's going to be an upgrade that costs as much as your car. No, they're not air actuated. They're just compressed air cooled. There's a significant difference. However, if you live in really hot climates, that's a good option to look at. Because what it does is it is done really well and accordingly to supply air pressure to your brake drums to cool them. Now, in general, if brake performance is really up your alley and you really want to get the best, your two-piece rotor designs are phenomenal. It's what supercars use. Right off the showroom floor, they're equipped right there on the showroom floor. Two-piece rotors. One side you might have steel, other side you might have aluminum. They're expensive, but they last longer, they warp less, and they come in 3 different styles. Refer to the article that the Australians did on that. You're probably going to have to remind me on this, but I'm going to do my best to include that link in the description. But anyways, it's kind of like when you go to a Mexican restaurant. That which you do today may burn your behinder later. Anyways, I sure do appreciate the time you invested in learning about mechanics here on Chef Matt Hammerschmidt's, here on my channel, Farming with Chef Matt. And this has been a very heartfelt educational moment from Chef Matt Hammerschmidt. And I certainly do appreciate your time, your views, and I appreciate the comments and the thumbs that you're giving me. I ask you to keep in mind that I do this because I'm smart. I have a brain. I have a lot of comebacks. And like some comedians, I'm not going to say something really inappropriate about comebacks. There are some comedians that are just excessively sexual. I'm not that way. However, if you want my comeback, understand this. I can tell who's just trying to get a rise out of me. I can keep you going. And just keep the interaction going with my channel. And you're only promoting my channel more than you're hurting it by being a hater. I don't block haters, but I certainly do know how to handle them. That's why I have 0 moderators. Been doing this for 6 years now. Well, going on 6 years. And I can honestly say that I've never had a legit need to have a moderator on anything I do. Whilst I do have people watching my stuff that give me corrections and stuff, we appreciate the polite, constructive criticism. There's a difference between criticizing and constructively criticizing someone. I'm going to teach you a quick difference here. Criticizing. Oh, you're a tenuous representation of America. Blah, 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 blah. That's criticizing. Constructive criticism is something along the lines of, that was a great video. If America really is digressing that fast, you may be in trouble. May I suggest moving to such and such a country? And giving them that kind of structure. It doesn't immediately put them into defend their actions mode. Thank you. Have a great day. Let me know what you think, and we'll catch you in another video.